if we were to look at someone who had invested in Uber, were they lucky because they were considering it to a taxi market, or the fact that Uber created a whole new market of people using their cars, people selling their cars to use Uber, rental cars increasing. So there are many frames of mind that change what an investment can be out. And the traits that allow people to see it is they can see an opportunity but can't quantify it or try to figure those parts out. But in terms of mistakes, not understanding the fundamentals.
Welcome to StorWealth Conversations, Unlocking Financial Freedom, the podcast that equips you with practical tools, timeless principles, and insider insights to take control of your financial future, no matter where you're starting from. Your host, Charlene Storr, is a certified public accountant and financial coach. For over 25 years, she's helped high net worth families manage, protect, and grow their wealth. And for just as long, she's been coaching individuals, families, and small businesses to do the same. Whether you're rebuilding, just getting started, or ready to grow, this podcast is your space to learn, reflect, and take action with real stories, smart strategies, and financial truth that help you thrive. Today's conversation, avoiding financial pitfalls across generations, into the lessons and decisions that shape financial success. Joining Charlene is a father and son duo with a powerful blend of wisdom and innovation. Montgomery Braithwaite is a chartered accountant, chairman of Leno Corporate Services, former president of Colina Insurance, and longtime Deloitte partner. He now consults across a range of industries. Khalil Braithwaite, his son, is co-founder of Kanoo and Managing Director of the Kanoo Innovation Hub, with deep experience in investment, fintech, and digital transformation. Together, they explore how perspectives on money, debt, risk, and opportunity evolve across generations, and how to avoid common financial traps along the way. If you're ready to elevate your financial life, lean in and let the unlocking begin.
Welcome to the conversation, Avoiding Pitfalls Across Generations. Today, we want to explore whether financial truths are truly timeless. Joining me today, Montgomery Braithwaite, Khalil Braithwaite. Welcome to the conversation.
Thanks for inviting us.
Great.
Thank you for having us.
Mr. B, I want to start with you. Am I allowed to call you Mr. B in this setting?
Absolutely.
In more than 50 years as a chartered accountant, what are some of the most common financial pitfalls you've seen in your lifetime, and are you surprised that they're still around?
Yes, they sure are. But before I start, let me just say that I've had a chance to read your book, cover to cover. It was an excellent effort, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
It's been a wonderful journey. Okay, what I can say is, even before I get into the details, most people who come to me for advice come cold turkey. So as a result of that, what I tend to do is my first encounter is just meant to get them relaxed, get them comfortable, because if someone comes to you with a financial problem, there's a level of anxiety, there's a level of concern, and sometimes a level of embarrassment.
Yeah.
So I would normally say to them, look, I'm here to help you. This is not going to be a 5-second solution because it took you a little while to get into the problem. It's going to take you a while to get out. But what you need to know is I'm with you. I'm going to hold your hand every step of the way. And for me to help you, I have to have the information. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't give me all the information, I can't find all the solutions. So usually what I then do at that point is I get into a very casual conversation. Hi, I'm Monty. Where do you work? How many kids do you have? What kind of concerns do you have? How long you've been around? So it's a means of starting to pull some information out of the persons without actually being a direct questionnaire. So when I ease through all of that and I feel them starting to relax, that's when I say, look, what we're going to do is we're going to create a scenario that's reduced to numbers. To do that, I need absolutely all of your information. I'm going to give you a worksheet. One worksheet will show you all of your assets, no matter where they are, and their liabilities. And the other worksheet would be your income and expenses.
Sounds very familiar. Sounds like Chapter 4, Know Your Numbers.
Exactly.
So am I hearing then that the common mistake that people make is not knowing their numbers?
Right.
You definitely read my book.
Absolutely.
Or maybe my book read your life and your experience, yeah?
So then what I say to them is, we're going to meet, let's agree a time and a place, and then you bring everything. Just take the worksheet I've given you, but it may not be complete. Bring everything. Now, I'm a professional accountant. What I do is look at people's confidential information. You're going to keep all of your stuff. I'll be guiding you. But if I don't have a complete set of assets and liabilities or complete set of income information and expenses, I will be shortchanging you because I will not have all the answers in the fullest sense of the word.
I appreciate that. Now, Khalil, Mr. B is coming from the position of an accountant. Your experience has been a lot in the investment space.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What are some of the mistakes or common pitfalls you're seeing from that side?
From the investment perspective?
Yes.
All right. Well, I think first is expectations. Like what people think about an investment, how it's supposed to work there, how it's supposed to be managed. There's a great learning curve that comes along with it. And they think it's automatic. And then I think the other part is a lot of people aren't connecting the simple dots and the fundamentals. And that's why you see certain people flourish and other people grow but not flourish. And so, for example, a successful saver becomes usually a successful investor.
Okay.
Right? Now, an amazing investor can make up for a short of savings and all of that. But
Sounds like a lot of luck.
And a lot of luck. Well, I mean, understanding opportunity.
Yes.
I think that's the thing.
For sure.
Right? What is perceived as luck is really not understanding the growth potential of a market. Right? So if we were to look at someone who had invested in Uber, were they lucky because they were considering it to a taxi market, or the fact that Uber created a whole new market of people using their cars, people selling their cars to use Uber, rental cars increasing. So there are many frames of mind that change what an investment can be out. And the traits that allow people to see it is they can see an opportunity but can't quantify it or try to figure those parts out. But in terms of mistakes, not understanding the fundamentals and having the expectations. And that actually flows deeper to an element that he was referencing. And I think the way I would package it is this notion of being connected versus disconnected. So when you're in touch with your numbers, you are connected to your economic reality. And I think one of the things that causes a lot of people not to have financial success is that emotional reality isn't really lined up with their economic reality. And then all of that flows into your expectations, and all of that flows into savings and investing and all that. So some of the mistakes I see people have is not having a fundamental understanding of what they're trying to do and the expectations of an investment and categorizing it in the right way.
Have you ever seen clients or your peers misunderstand the risk because they don't understand the opportunities available in the market in either direction?
Yeah, 100%. I think what happens, they see the success stories and they factor the known risks, but might not factor the unknown risks that may exist with an investment. So, for example, in every investment category, that risk changes according to the market. So, for example, if you were to buy a stock or equity in the States, you are more worried about the risk of performance. But if you were to buy a stock locally, you're more about the risk of liquidity.
Yes.
It can go up, but if I can't sell it, then, and so people bring all kind of beliefs into but understanding, again, the investment market and the market is key.
It's fascinating to me to have the two of you sitting here, father and son, accountant, investor, very much in the modern space with what you do. Highlight how your family upbringing, and you were brought up in Trinidad, right? And you in the Bahamas. How has the upbringing and the values shaped your money habits? First, Mr. B.
Well, I grew up in a very modest environment, but there was so much love in my environment, I didn't even realize I was poor. So take, for instance, something like education. The pivotal point of my education was to get into the correct high school. Whereas in his case, he got into QC and went all the way up. So the threshold of accomplishment for him was to get into the right college, whereas to me, I was on the treadmill to get into the right high school. Now, I also came up with a point of view that higher education was the key. So all through my life, talking to my wife, our primary consideration is, okay, we got to make sure that our kids get the benefit of a proper education. And for us, that entailed not just getting through high school, but getting further education at the college level. Now, as time unfolded, and we would sit down in our private moments, my wife and myself, we changed our yardstick. So on her deathbed, my wife was not satisfied that she had educated her kids, but they also had a roof over their head. So our parameters changed as our income levels grew, and we suddenly realized that, hey, in this modern world, it is becoming so difficult for a young couple to get into their own home or whatever, that we are not going to rest with saying, okay, we've gotten you through college. We just raised our expectations to say, okay, not only are we going to get our kids into college, but we're going to take it one step further. We're going to give them a foot up in life, because it may take them so many years to get into a home if they didn't have the down payment or they didn't get a push. So yes, I can say that I'm satisfied, but my parents did all that they could and certainly got me over the hump. But when it became my turn, I realized that I had to play it forward. Now that he is his own man and he has a roof over his head, one of the things I've done recently is I've created a trust, not necessarily for him and his brother, but for my grandkids. So again, your vision changes. You want to be part of the solution, but you can't dictate to them. He's still his own man. He's going to make his pitfalls. He's going to make his successes. I'm going to be his biggest cheerleader, but he has to understand at the same time I'm going to be his biggest critic. But I'm on board.
Yeah.
The love doesn't cease with him getting to any stage in life. I will love him till I die. But I have to be very mindful of the fact that I can't be looking over his shoulder. I have to see him. If I'm seeing him making a mistake, I may say, hey, guy, what about this? What about that? But I need to let him flourish. I need to let him grow and let him know that he's his own man, and I'm going to support him in every endeavor that he gets involved in.
Khalil, from your vantage point, what did the money conversations sound like?
Well, first of all, clearly he's talking about my brother, not me. No, but what's interesting about the money what did the money conversations look like growing up? I think two things that kind of capture me that are beyond. It was nonchalant. And it was rooted in this notion of content. So the nonchalance is like, oh, money isn't a big deal. Money isn't a thing. And I think for him, because of his background, he's just desensitized to money and need. So he kind of see people up, kind of see people down. He see people who appear to have money but know the background of it. So growing up, money was always nonchalant. And not to say money wasn't important, but he never made it the end all, be all, right? So almost not to be driven by it, be mindful of it, but it's not to be defined by it. And that's kind of very interesting because, you know, when you grow up in the Bahamas where, you know, more spenders and savers, and there all these things happen, and you're like, money gotta be important. And I didn't understand the depth of what he was meaning of like, it isn't everything. But for me, I definitely thought there was a practical nature of it and trusted like, okay, if he's around money and he's nonchalant about it and he seems to not be lacking, we never were lacking.
Right.
Then I was like, okay, money is important, but not as in the thing that people make it to be. It's a defining, like, make no mistake, crowd, listeners, I'm not saying money isn't important. Money is extremely important. It dictates the quality of life. But in growing up in our house, it was just a nonchalant conversation in terms of like, oh, you don't need that, or don't worry about that. That isn't that kind of value. And that's kind of evident by him and my mom. And I'll give you a quick personal story that I think echoes this. So you know his journey intimately, and I'm glad that you know, so you'll appreciate this journey. So he used to literally walk to work because work was not far.
Right.
If you know where his office was and you know where their first apartments were, he would walk to work. So the first time we got a chance to get a car, he made it a family deal. We all went down, and he let mommy pick the car. And that was the interesting thing, right? And so my brother was dancing around, I think the Celica, was dancing around all these different, the Crown, and, you know, and I'll never forget that the car that rolled in was a yellow Datsun. You remember that?
Yeah, man.
And mommy knew to say, well, I don't need a fancy car. And obviously my brother was upset because he thinking sports car, we getting dropped to school. But it came down to Datsun, and I was just like, oh, they're actually practicing what they preach. And then so the first thing was nonchalance. The other thing I had to observe from that nonchalance, because that was confusing to me, because I'm like, hold on, you manage money, you around money.
You have
my
some
friends,
money.
when you have some money, my
Why
friends
not go
think
top of
money.
the line?
Everyone think I'm financially straight, and I'm like, yo, this $2 only could go so far for lunch, right? And I had to tell him it was not the 60s or 70s. But I soon learned that he had a superpower, which was the ability to be content.
Yeah.
And that ability to be content is the superpower that I see amongst him, yourself. Like, people look at your skills and look at the tools and tactics that you'll have. But it was that ability to be content with what he had. And I always tell him his emotional driver was safety on a rainy day.
Yeah.
And as long as it was sunshine today, he did it. And so all of these things became a full thing I kind of observed. So it wasn't taught to me directly. It was just through osmosis, through exposure, me asking for stuff. Oh, later. I soon learned that I could think about it meant no. Right? But I learned like, oh, Dad really doesn't care. Like, the car was based on what Mom would want it. And Mom was like, well, the most important thing to her is to not spend no money on a car. And the only one disappointed in our entire family was my brother.
Because he wanted the sports car.
Because he wanted the sports car. And I just was laughing because I'm like, oh, they are kind of practicing what they preach. So that ability to be nonchalant about money, it's not everything, and all of a sudden become something. And then the ability to be content. Because if you're happy with what you have, you all of a sudden can start getting the things you want.
Yeah.
And start getting the things you need. But we didn't sit down. We never did a budget workshop, all of that. I think that's just a byproduct of me going through a business route. And he just figured, if you ain't learning it, I might as well don't teach it. I'm paying you to learn this stuff.
But you know, I'll make a point, right? You know, one of your strongest and most inciting criticisms of me is the fact you say, Dad, you got to teach me something today, or teach me something every day. And my retort was, watch me. And the reason I said that is I didn't want you to be preoccupied with my success. I wanted you to see how I related to others, my honesty, my integrity, my respect for others. And that is actually how I gained an appreciation for my dad, because my dad, just like myself, was busy bringing a family up, doing things. The preoccupation in his day was providing for your family. Mm-hmm. I got stuck in that same mindset. Okay, look, I'm going to work all these long hours at Deloitte, but just trying to make sure that I could provide and create for you guys an opportunity. But at the same parallel time, I was trying to let you say, look, forget about the money. There's character, there's integrity, there's the way you treat people. So I was hoping that I could be for you the example that I thought I'd like to be, but I've seen it in the way you treat others.
Listen, I'm sure my viewers are getting the same thing I'm getting, this amazing love fest between father and son. Let me ruffle the waters a little bit.
Sure, 100%.
Is there anything, or give me an example of something the two of you disagreed on, whether it was on saving, spending, investing, you didn't agree or don't agree today? Keep the gloves hidden though.
Yeah, no, tons of stuff. I think, back to again, I have this philosophy, people tend to trust their method of success.
This is true.
And so he's trusted his ability to accumulate success or watch success in a certain way. And, but again, the notion of being connected to the market and the pulse and all of that. And so we in the early years, I'll tell you, ironically, every time I went against him in my first half of my lap, I lost money, right? So I'll put that out there, YouTube world or podcast world. So there is wisdom, and wisdom has value.
Yeah.
And then every time he's gone against me in this second half,
he's lost money.
He's lost. We've left
lost opportunity probably.
We've left a lot of money on the table, like a lot. And I always tease him. I say, well, people don't know how much someone loves someone. I could tell you a few numbers, right? But I think, again, I had to not take it personal, because, again, it's just a different generation, different thing. So when I tell him, something like Bitcoin, that is just like,
always had,
right?
Mine too.
Right. And then if we talk about even alternative energy, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, solar is a complement. Yeah, solar should work. No, solar could be the thing. Like, what do you mean the thing? The thing. Like, but it's that shift of things. And again, I learned not to take it personally after a while, because I realized as an accountant and a consulting partner, he was advising from best practices and advising from best pitfalls. And so naturally, what he saw was real. Mm-hmm. It's just different than if I'm on the horizon and I can see over and I can say, no, this opportunity is different. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't know, everything that comes from around the mountain, right? So I would say we definitely clashed a lot, and not even to the point of, and I think that's also important too, healthy conversations, healthy conflicts, healthy, like, the key word is healthy. Like when we clash, it wasn't something where like, oh, you this or that. I'm like, dude, you're gonna regret this. And I'm saying like, you think you're right, and it's been amazing, and it's learning that difference.
Right.
So dude, does your story sound the same or different?
But it's amazing. Exactly. One of the things that's very interesting, right, is that generation. Mm-hmm. I always had a concern about them being attached to things.
Okay.
All right? So like, for instance, he likes a good watch. So what did I do when he graduated from college? I bought him a nice watch. Mm-hmm. But it was a reward for an accomplishment, as opposed to just going
out
after
and getting
things.
It. Yes, I get that.
Now, I do respect the fact that, in that generation, there's a sense that I'm working hard. I should be around things that I enjoy. In my generation, not quite as advanced as that. I just stayed on the treadmill thinking that the next dollar would be put to good use or whatever. So I remember like his brother saying, but you live in the Bahamas, you've got all these beautiful waters, but you don't even go to the beach. You don't try to swim. You're not getting the benefit of being in the Bahamas. So yes, he bought a boat, his brother bought a boat. It never came around to my way of thinking to get a boat. I always figured I'll get something that doesn't need to be expensive to maintain. Mind you, I do maintain whatever little I have. I try my best. But you're going to have those differences between generations. It's not that I am right and he's wrong, or he's right and I'm wrong. We have to understand and appreciate the differences and support one another. And we're still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still learning him. He's still learning me. He is corrected me for things that he claims I did years ago. Claims that I did years ago. But again, it's a generational kind of issue. And I think it's not that I have to get off the stage, but I am a cheerleader, and I am very happy for what he's accomplished. Sometimes I don't tell him as much as I should that I care about him or I love him or I feel good about him. But that's again coming from an era where my dad never said to me, I love you, son, or I appreciate you, or something like that. But it's all good chemistry. I think at the end of the day, when the dust settles, we are very satisfied that we have good fortunes to have a good dad and a good son.
I agree.
And to bring it into full context, because I know you would have connected these dots, because we've had conversations offline, but to bring it full circle in a lot of ways. So the culture you grew up with was a need to kind of provide. And that's kind of important. And the other part that's interesting is, when you look at financial decisions and whether someone supports you or makes a decision, a lot of people drive it from the perspective of they mentally don't get it, but they don't realize investment decisions by a parent shared with a child is a decision or a matter of the heart.
Yes.
Because they're saying, no, I love you and trust you. I just mentally am trying to calculate this risk.
To try to protect you, probably.
Correct. And so where it's interesting now is that bringing it in full circle, your need was, again, based on your conversation, was a sense to provide, right? Then the conversation about the boats, or what we were looking at, was your ability to be content. You didn't need, that didn't interest you, that wasn't thing, but it
wasn't high on my list of priorities.
But all of these things are kind of interesting when it talks about a family getting together about any investment, about any type of thinking, right? It's like unpacking that, the no is equally rooted in love and not in protection versus ability or confidence. Because we may say, you don't believe in my ability to do it. And they're saying, I wouldn't be talking to you about investing. That's not the thing. My thing is, I don't think it would be able to deliver what you think. And so these are things where it kind of come full circle, and I smile, and I just thought that was an interesting point. But again, your ability to be content was your never need to see a boat. But for me, logically, I was like, if we live in the Bahamas, and the boat must be the answer, and it's an expensive hobby.
I've heard someone say once that the two most exciting days in a boat owner's life is the day they buy it and the day they sell it.
Yeah, that is correct. Well, most people don't know the definition of boat, which is bring out another 1,000.
Well, listen, talking about the things that people generally go for, let's talk about debt. Like some people view it as a useful tool, some view it as a bad idea. What's your thoughts?
That's a great question. No, you framed that perfectly. If you're able to use debt as a useful tool, then use it. But if you are incurring debt to get wants versus needs, then do not use it. And then if you are using debt to incur a need packaged like a want, weigh off the trade-off values. Because again, to be fair, debt in today's world is not the same as debt in his world. And we were talking about it. And he was saying, you know, Khalil, I feel a bit unfair. I feel it's a bit unfair for you guys. Like, and I was explaining to him, like, when you got a property in his era, that could have been either 2 years worth of salary or 3 years worth of salary.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so you're making 40 grand a year or 20 grand a year, but the property is 40 grand. Oh my God, but that's 2 years worth of saving, 3 years. It's approachable, it's quantifiable, and then you can build your house, and that isn't the same now.
Today, you're
right?
right.
So do I encourage someone to get debt to get on land? Or like that's such a slippery slope. But debt is a skill, and it allows you to build from stage to stage if you do it right. And people have to understand it's a skill that's based on a relationship, because the bank wants to work with you, but like any business has a business model they have to work with. So me personally, I do not take on debt at all in any form unless it's a family like support system that we've developed internally. And that has to be based on like, I got your back, you have my back. I've proven my track record of delivering. But that's my take on debt.
And the only other thing I would add to that is when you look at debt, peg the interest rate and let that inform your decision. Because if you're borrowing with a credit card and you're paying 18% interest, it's very hard to leverage that into a real good investment. But if you can see that whatever you're buying will increase in value in a ratio that will allow you to balance the interest expense associated with the borrowing, then it makes sense. So that's important. And always, if you have the opportunity, and if you can leverage your debt to the best possible interest rate, that is something you should always pursue.
Yeah. I should have known that the time we had would never be enough for a conversation with the two of you together. But as we bring this to a close, if there was something you could say to your younger self, Mr. B, if you knew then what you know now when it comes to anything financial, what would be that message to yourself? Share that with our audience.
I would have been a little bit more aggressive in terms of investment opportunities. And I guess because I was working in a public accounting firm where you want to make sure that you don't get into any entanglement with your clients, it kept me on a slightly more narrow path than otherwise would have been the case. And I do have some regrets there, not too many.
Yeah.
I'm not dissatisfied, but when you're a service provider in the financial services industry, and you have to, quote unquote, maintain your independence, by definition, there's a constraint that burdens my thinking that if I had to do it all over again, I probably would not have allowed it to constrain me the way that it did.
Okay. Khalil, you're not as old as he is, but if you were talking to the younger version of Khalil, knowing if you knew then what you know now, what would it be?
The funny answer would probably be buy Bitcoin. But the thing I would think would make the most impact was understand emotional mastery and the ability to lead clear thinking and that making clear choices. Like, I think that would help my financial world a lot better, because when I was in savings mode, I was a good saver. And then when I just got it in my head that it wasn't worth saving, it just fell off. But again, nothing changed other than my belief system. And the only thing that changed about my belief system was my emotion about it. And I think I would encourage myself to understand that aspect and also not seek approval or validation to grow money, because I think things kind of come, a lot of things with money and the permission. So I would have a deep conversation with myself to say, hey, don't take it so serious. Have a clean heart so you could have a clear mind, and just calculate the risk and be counterintuitive, be comfortable with being different. Because a lot of times, like my I told you so bill could be so big with friends, colleagues. It's just that. And I think I would just find more confidence in my voice, tell myself, hey, money is a logical game, which is really an emotional game, which is really a spiritual game. And that is the success that you see. So, you know, when I look at Charlene, yes, financially stable, but emotionally stable, wonderful person, content. Like I could see a lot of the Mr. B isms, right? But that would be the conversation I would have myself. Emotionally understand that, hey, a clean heart, clear mind, calculated risks, and go for it.
Montgomery Braithwaite, Khalil Braithwaite, avoiding pitfalls across generations. I don't know about you. I figured out that the timeless truths stay true across generations. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Unlocked.
Looking to get your finances back on track? Your journey to financial freedom starts at StorWealth.net, your go-to hub for practical tools, resources, and strategies to help you take control of your money and your future. Click on the Know Your Numbers tab to begin building your financial plan. This free tool helps you get a clear picture of your finances by tracking what you own, what you owe, and how money flows in and out of your life. It's simple, private, and designed to give you clarity fast. Once you complete the exercise, head to the Request an Appointment page to book your free 30-minute consultation. We'll help you turn your numbers into a real plan, tailored to your goals, lifestyle, and challenges. Visit StorWealth.net today and take the first step toward building a confident and intentional financial life.
Oh no, I was able to achieve a lot. From that plan that we mapped out, I was able to save to purchase a vehicle for myself, and with that, I purchased that cash. So after obtaining that vehicle, one good thing was there was no debt, there was no bill for that. And the other thing was that the plan that was laid out for me, within a year, I was free of my credit card debt. And I was very, very excited about that also. And something else that you always also encouraged me to do was to find a way to make additional income.
Welcome to Unlocked, where we continue to explore avoiding pitfalls across generations. In our last segment, we specifically looked at the value of knowing your numbers. My guest today is someone I've had the pleasure of coaching with for a number of years, who started off with a challenge, like most people, juggling debt as a single parent, household expenses, and needing to make a shift. Welcome to the show. Tell my guest who you are.
Hi, thank you, Charlene. My name is Phyllis Green. I am a single parent, as you said before. I am also a personal secretary to a principal at a private school. And I'm a mother to 3 beautiful daughters, all of whom, it seemed suddenly to me, got married and move on. And I was very excited for them and their new life with their spouses. But the concern that I had mostly was the fact that they were contributing to the home financially. And so my home went from a 4-income home to one, which was myself.
Wow. And what were the concerns around that?
The concerns around that was that mostly already I had debt of my own. And just to think of them leaving and with them contributing, we were doing well. But with them leaving, the savings that I had, I was wondering how far that would take me. And I was nervous about all of these expenses now falling on me.
I do remember when you came to me to talk about where you were and what you needed to have happen and what your concerns were. Share with our viewers the plan that came out of us sitting and looking at your numbers to determine where you were and ultimately what you were trying to achieve.
Yes, what I was taught when we met is that I needed to have a look at my income, my debt, and to follow a way ahead, the way ahead.
To determine the way ahead.
Yes, to determine the way ahead. And when I sat down and looked at the spreadsheet that you had laid out for me, and I look at the numbers, I realized that I had to really buckle down and make a shift in order to become financially free from so much of the debt that I had incurred.
I do remember how excited you got when we sat down and mapped out this plan. What were you able to achieve out of that? Do you mind sharing?
Oh, no. I was able to achieve a lot. From that plan that we mapped out, I was able to save to purchase a vehicle for myself. And with that, I purchased that cash. So after obtaining that vehicle, one good thing was there was no debt. There was no bill for that. And the other thing was that the plan that was laid out for me, within a year, I was free of my credit card debt. And I was very, very excited about that also. And something else that you always also encouraged me to do was to find a way to make additional income.
What I remember you telling me the story, so I'll repeat it, that you remember exactly where you were when you saw the email came in with your credit card statement to show a zero balance, and how excited you were.
I was very excited.
But for the person who is laden with debt and trying to figure out how to map this plan to get it down, and amazingly, I'm still impressed. You're my poster child. You were able to do it in record time. Was it easy?
Oh, definitely. It definitely not. It was not easy, and there were many, many challenges, and also some serious decisions that I had to make. When opportunities came to go out maybe to dinner with friends, I had to say no. And when occasions came up, I remembered that I do not have to purchase a new dress. I do not have to purchase a new shoe. So I continued to spend as little as possible so that I can have more to place on my debt, thus being more free.
And I think what's important for our listeners to understand is that was a season working towards a goal.
Yes.
Because I'm going to assume you've bought some dresses and shoes since then.
Oh, yes, I have.
But,
yes, I have.
Focusing in that window to achieve the goal. But, what I'm fascinated about is you're also currently working on a new project.
Oh, yes,
so we
I
started
am.
out with you sitting before me, concerned that your 4-income household has dropped to 1 income, debt, ongoing expenses. You've already shared that you were able to eliminate the credit card and I think at least one other debt, if I
Yes.
remember from our conversation. Purchase a car without debt, Tell our audience what you're working on now.
What I'm working on now is I have decided to change some things. With I live alone, as I said, and there's lots of space. So I have decided to create a rental income from my home. And I'm proud to say that by the end of the month, that would be completed also.
Congratulations. I am
Thank you.
super happy and so proud of you.
Yes.
You know, in my book, Staging Your Financial Comeback, Keys to Recovering from a Financial Crisis, you're a perfect example because the crisis
Yes.
that brought you to me on this last round, because we've had discussions before,
Yes.
was your children, your adult children moving out of the house and leaving you in a single income home.
Yes.
To converting that home on their departure into rental income. I mean, talk about crisis becoming opportunity.
I am telling you, yes.
Right? And how liberating is that?
It's liberating. I feel very free.
Yes, very good. It's amazing. So one of the things I've seen consistently when I'm speaking with people, generally when we sit down in the know your numbers exercise, what you have, what you owe, income coming in, income going out, and then work out a plan, people get excited because they see hope.
Yes.
There's a path. You are one of those persons who have converted that path, that hope, into action and propelled yourself forward. What do you say to the person who sees that hope, gets excited, but months later slip back because it's too hard or it seems like they're not making progress? You know, share that journey for me, because you did talk about delaying some things or denying yourself some things that ordinarily you would have done. You know, tell the person listening who's sitting where you were what needs to happen to get to where you are.
What I would say to that individual is that it totally depends upon how bad they want it. Do you want to be free? Do they see themselves as being free? Even if you are to slip up and fall back, don't stay there. Get up, look at your plan, look at what's before you. Remember the end goal and make that change. Each and every one of us, I did not know it before until it was laid out to me and I saw the numbers. Each and every one of us has that key to financial freedom. But we all must be able to use that key and unlock.
Phyllis Green, I think I'm going to get you to help me author my next book. My friend, thank you so much for being open to share your story. And thank you for staying with the plan and being evidence that with persistence, it does work.
Yes, it does.
I appreciate you. Thank you again for being open and willing to share that story.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure. My friends, this has been Unlocked, a part of StorWealth Conversations. I hope you walk away from this particular exercise knowing that if you know your numbers and you can chart a course, if you stay with it, you will reach your goal. Thank you. Until next time, be blessed.
You never thought you'd be here, counting every dollar, questioning every financial decision, wondering if things will ever be better. But what if this setback is setting you up for the greatest comeback of your life? In her powerful new book, Staging Your Financial Comeback, Keys to Recovering from a Financial Crisis, Charlene Storr offers not just advice, but hope, direction, and the confidence to rise again.
Not every crisis is a financial crisis, but most crises will create a financial crisis.
Through real-life stories and practical proven steps, this book guides you from overwhelm to ownership, from barely making it to building a life of financial freedom. This isn't just a book. It's your roadmap to financial stability, dignity, and peace. Available now wherever books are sold. To help you unlock your freedom with exclusive tools, visit StorWealth.net. Your comeback starts now.